You might already know where we are. Hello everybody. Welcome to the Isle of Dinos, Season 2. It is now fall in the Isle, as you can see with all the leaves and that. But lots of animals have actually decided to move and migrate to the lower parts of the island, as that's where it's more warm. Now, all that remains in these parts are herbivores and carnivores.
Most of the herbivores have already eaten their fair share of grass and are probably getting ready to settle down. But still, there are other herbivores still trying to get their energy, as they're still and try to eat as much grass as they can before there is none left. Here we have two pachycephalosauruses, a male and a female, both combating to get some nutritious grass nearby over this field. It's been nearly 5 minutes of fighting and headbutting, but still, both of them are able to carry on. While the female's looking away, the male hits her in the torso and sends her back. He is injured and has a broken rib, but still tries to stand up for a fight. The male is also tired, but he can also still hold on. Soon, but the female does give one headbutt, but it doesn't do much. But the male makes a final hit. So the male-female packy decides it's too risky and heads off. The male now claims the field. In the Isle, it's survival of the fittest. You either survive or die. You're not expecting anybody to be kind to you here. It's a life or death situation. Mushrooms. These mushrooms are special, as they only sprout in fall. That's why there's a very limited window to eat on them. But not all dinosaurs can eat these mushrooms. Only ceratopsians have that ability. Their body can take the poison inside these mushrooms. And one thing about these mushrooms is that they're very nutritious and filled with fat, which can keep a ceratopsian full for several weeks or even a month. A Proceratosaurus. A new species have come from the Isle. Proceratosaurus is not that common, as it mostly exists in the Badlands, but it do occasionally come to the plains, when there's limited food. This Proceratosaurus is trying to hunt for a very big herbivore, as winter is coming.
The Unisaurus. This dinosaur was from the late Triassic to the mid-Cretaceous, or no, mid-Jurassic. This dinosaur is a prosauropod, which it dates back to the This is the perfect hunt for the Proceratosaurus. There's one thing, this herbivore can fight back.
This is a perfect meal for the Proceratosaurus. This Unisaurus could help it last for many weeks. It steadily approaches, trying not to startle it.
But the Unisaurus, at the worst time, spots him.
The Unisaurus takes a couple steps back, so trying not to protect its vitals, but the Procerat immediately jumps for the neck. Luckily, the Unisaurus uses its claws and manages to slash at the Procerat's oatmeal. The Procerat goes and bites onto the Unisaurus's arms. The Unisaurus is stuck, unable to move, and is slowly being pinned down. This is the Procerat's best time to kill it. Luckily, the Unisaurus has enough momentum to get up and kick or slash the Procerat back, and decides to run away.
The Proceratosaurus looks on and sees that his meal is gone. He walks back. He might go and hunt something like a homocephaly or dryosaur.
But for now, he failed his opportunity.
This is the baby of the big one. He is only about 2 months old. He is very tiny though. He will never be the main size of his father. He digs in. Well, Croco did abandon him as she did not have enough energy to hunt for both her and her young.
This tiny Spino has had to live on his own for most of his life. It's been tough, but he's managing, and he's doing it quite well. It's quiet in the jungle, but still, quiet doesn't mean safe. The tiny Spino hears a sound. Immediately goes and buries in, trying to hide himself. He brushes onto the leaves and him, trying to hide. What is it that's following?
In the bushes comes out a Beckel Spinax.
The Beckel has spent most of the day hunting, but was quite unsuccessful. But after seeing the tiny Triceratops carcass, it goes and eats it.
The baby Spino looks up and sees him. The Beckel also turns around. But the Beckel, not being the smartest predator, actually thinks the Spino is another Beckel.
Soon, the Beckel starts comforting the tiny Spino. The tiny Spino is confused, but doesn't do anything to withstand it. And they both comfort each other. After they both bond, the Beckel starts leading the Spino inside to the jungle.
He still thinks the Spino is a Beckel, as well there are barely any on the island.
Looks like we'll be seeing them one day. Something beautiful is going to happen in probably the next couple of months. Toxin and his mate, Poison, are going to give birth to an offspring. Toxin and Poison have been mates for nearly a year, but they hadn't had offspring in that entire time. So this is wonderful for the pair. But sadly, Poison is starting to feel way too weak. She's been lying down on the ground for several days, too weak to even get up, and too weak to even make small grunts. Toxin is worried about this. He's worried that Poison might not make it if they have their child. Toxin goes to comfort her though, to tell her everything's going to be okay. But still, we can't know that, or say that she's gonna be okay anytime soon. The Raptor Pack. It's been 2 months since we've seen them. And the pack is a bit smaller. Most of the offspring of the pack has left on their own to start other packs. But the pack that Tango and Gray started are still creating new offspring. And a lot has changed over those last 2 months. A lot of change, let's say. Number one is that the nests have changed. The old raptor nest has become too barren and way too far from any food sources. But this time, there have been a couple improvements.
Now, they scatter the bodies. But instead of hunting just one animal, they hunt more than one. They usually get 3 per hunting trip. As well, 1 for the adults, and the rest for the children.
Swamp and Orange have mostly been in charge of hunting, as Tango and Gray have started to grow old, and Gray is being responsible for giving more offspring. So they've been the ones who've been doing most of the hunting.
Here is a baby raptor. He's eating this juvenile Parasaurolophus, as he is very hungry. Swamp and Orange are actually watching over him, as well, this is their offspring. As well, Tango and Gray would also watch over their offspring if they were eating. And he seems to be feasting on the para. Swamp pushes the baby, telling him enough is enough and he needs to save more for the pack. The baby does not like this. Besides, he has to go off, listening to his mother. As fall has begun and winter is slowly coming, Orange needs to go out and hunt more food. The thing is, they'll need as much food to supply the pack, or otherwise, the pack will be in trouble. He goes out to see if he can get more food. Here we see a dire wolf. We will name him Dire, as he is a very unique species. Dire wolves are actually some of the biggest wolf species in the world. They went extinct about 10,000 years ago, or something like that. And now they roam here for us to see.
Dire rarely comes over here to the plains, but as there are not that many dinosaurs around and carnivores to worry about, He decides that he'll be able to hunt some very tiny dinosaurs as quick and easy meals.
Here is a dead Ceratosaurus. Don't worry, this is not white chocolate, this is a different one. He eats the body, making sure not to waste anything.
He needs as much energy as he can if he wants to hunt in the winter months. Still, fall is still going to be a brutal period. But at the same time, it's going to create many more openings and many more different changes here on the Isle. Some good and some bad. We're just going to have to see how the seasons change.